Get Warrior Tough. Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, we're back from the Mile High City. I thought that was talking about altitude till I got out here, and there was just like, cannabis shops everywhere. So, yeah, I don't know, Dutch. It's a crazy thing, dude. I mean, I saw it on TV and everything. I didn't know I was flying into the Netherlands, but, it's all good.
It's all natural, I guess.
I guess, man.
Move towards all natural.
Yeah, I need to go check to see if at McDonald's they're selling La Royales with cheese because it's the Netherlands. Because they don't have the quarter pounder because of the metric system. Yeah, okay. All right, so, yeah, it's funny. Now, I will tell you there are benefits to this, though, Dutch, because the smog in the city is really secondhand smoke, so there's no road rage at all. Like when traffic is backed up, people, they're not mad.
They're just chilling.
Yeah, they're just chilling. What up? Right? And they windows down. No, I'm just messing around. All right, so here's another question, man. How might a person assess their ability to manage people at the highest levels? Like, so somebody who wanted to get into upper level executive management, maybe they're at middle management, they went from first line supervisor, or, maybe you're not, you want to become a first line supervisor, or, there's a promotion and you're not sure you want to take it or not. How might you assess your ability to manage people? And the first thing is let's define the word manage. And if you guys looked it up, if everyone just looked up the word manage, it just means this: to be in charge. To be in charge. So if you're managing people, that means you have to be in charge of people. And if you guys know anything about what we talk about, and the name of the book is Ground Zero Leadership, CEO of You, right? The first person that you got to be in charge of is yourself. So you got to take an honest assessment. How well are you at managing yourself is the first level. Would you agree with that statement, Dutch?
Absolutely. And when you're managing yourself, the first thing you're going to look at is your own production, right? So, how am I doing with respect to, again, my targets, my goals, what the things that I've set up, my processes? Have I dominated those things? Because you're the frontline manager for yourself. And if you're managing your time and your resources and your abilities in a world-class fashion, now you can be responsible for other people's resources, talents, and abilities to handle them. So you have to be able to handle yourself first and your own resources.
Yeah, and then the next level out, right? So then once you get yourself taken care of, then the next thing you have to do is look at your inner circle. Who are the people that are closest to you? Okay, it's your family and your friends, right? Inside that inner circle, how well are you managing those relationships? And the word manage means to be in charge. How well are you in charge? How good are you at being in charge of those people inside your airspace, in your personal life? And that's a hard question. Right. I mean, you really have to look in the mirror, man.
Well, I got a tougher question for you. And you're thinking about moving up to the next level. You said so that next level, the highest level, right?
Yeah.
So let's assume you've been at a level below that and you've had some success at different levels prior to this highest level that you're imagining yourself at or you're preparing to take.
Right.
How responsible were you for the success of those folks at the other levels? Now, you got to be honest with yourself, because sometimes we know that we are beneficiaries of great employees, their work ethic. And we know there have been plenty of employees that made managers look good. Right. You never want to be that. You want to be a manager that's made to look good by your employees because of the opportunities, the resources, the training, the leadership that you provided for them, and then they make you look good. You don't want to be there and you're just benefiting from how good they are, because what's going to happen is you're going to be exposed at some point. Number one, they're going to leave, and they're going to leave you there trying to keep it all together and have the same production because you really had no process or no part in the success. Or number two, you're going to get bumped up to a higher level with them, or you may get moved over. Hey, Andrew's doing a great job at this, man. We're going to send him to this lower performing area with lower performing people, because if he can get that production out of them like he got the production out of this area, and you know that you didn't have anything to do with that, then you're about to be exposed because you're being moved. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I need to be a part of the reason, or the reason that this unit that I've led is successful. That means I have to have a process. Right. I have to have a part in actually leading. I can't be an absent leader. I have to be immersed in their successes, their processes. I have to be aware of what they're doing. So I have to be a manager. I have to be in charge in more than name alone. So, before you're ready to make that step, you better be sure that that you're part of the reason that those other people have been successful, and that's the reason you're getting that bump.
Right, and I love that you just said that about you're the reason. This is kind of how I made my career, was give me the hardest problem, the most unruly team, give me the thing that nobody else wants to do. That's how you really can assess if you're ready to go on. Because if you don't have that want to, and to get in there and give me the hardest thing, right? Because I always say this: rank doesn't have its privileges. I know people if I move up, I'll get more privileges. No, rank has more responsibility, not privileges, more responsibility. And they taught me this in the Marine Corps, right? Once you get promoted, right, if you're the squad leader, everybody in your squad eats first before you eat. Everybody else make sure that they get, all the equipment and all the ammo before you get yours. And then as you go up the rank, then there's more and more people that have to eat before you do. Sometimes you don't get any chow at the end, right? So, and if you don't have that mindset, then you're not ready to take a leadership role. You're not ready to manage people. You're not ready to be in charge. Because if you don't have the mindset of give me your hardest problem and I'll solve it. Give me your hardest problem and I'll solve it. You're going to be in over your head in 5 seconds. Because when it gets hard, and you didn't want the hard problem, because it's going to get hard even with a great team.
It will get hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will get hard.
Then you're not ready for it.
And then, that goes the toughest situation, toughest employees, toughest whatever. You got to want that, because what you're doing is you're preparing yourself for something bigger. Now, if you're content with being on in the minor leagues all your life, then we're not talking to you.
Right.
We're talking to the people who are trying to be the best. They're trying to make it to the majors. That are trying to be the greatest of the great, trying to be in that 1%. You got to be seeking out those tough situations, those tough people, those tough problems, those impossible problems. You got to seek those out, and you got to be willing to dominate them.
And I'll say that, and I say this a lot around our folks. Listen, our program, Get Warrior Tough, is for anybody. The book, Ground Zero Leadership, CEOU, is for anybody. Right? The gladiator training and the phalanx is for anybody, but it is not for everybody. If you aren't sick and tired, right, of status quo, if you're not sick and tired of, my life is not where I want it to be. If you're happy, like Dutch said, in the minor leagues or below, right, if you're happy there and you're comfortable, this ain't for you. You need to change the dial, right? There's much other fun, there's better things for you to do. There's mind candy out there. But if you do want to have a better life than you have right now, if you want your career to go forward, if you want to have better relationships, if you want to have better financial footing, if you want to have better physical health, if you want to have better emotional health where you can control your emotions, if you want better in life, then this is for you. But if you're happy where you are, then we ain't talking to you.
And we're talking to even if you're already happy where you are. Let's say you're happy where you are. Let's say you're happy where you are because you're a high achiever. You know who wants this? High achievers.
Oh, they love this
high
stuff. They can't get enough, dude.
This.
They can't get enough. And I look at some of our clients, and I'm like, you don't need this, man. They're like, yeah, but this will give me the edge that I'm looking for, right, to get to that next level. And it's the funniest thing, because the people that don't need it, they can't get enough of this. They don't need it as much. They can't get enough of it. And the ones that absolutely need it wouldn't give you a second look. But they'll complain all day long about how awful their life is, how awful their job is, how awful their spouse is, how awful their kids are. Hey, man, we have people that we know that can't wait to get their seniors in high school off to college so that they don't have to deal with them anymore. How sick is that, man?
It's crazy. And, the funny thing is, our yearning is not for the higher achievers. Our yearning is for the people that we know need this, because number one, it's going to make them healthier. They're going to live longer. They're going to be better mothers, fathers, leaders in their own community. So we want the ones who don't have this already or don't have any of this, because number one, it gives you that wonderful feeling when you see people step up and be better than they ever thought they could be. When we deal with high achievers already, that's great for us as well, because we are learning stuff as well. And we're gaining life experience ourselves as high achievers, because high achievers, iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So we get a lot of that, and that is great. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
No, I do too, man, because that's our advanced class. Like it
absolutely.
gets, for us, it's fun. But
I don't love it. I don't love it more than when I see someone who has nothing and never thought they would have anything achieve to heights they never thought they would. Nothing like that.
Right. And so that's why, and literally we make this thing so it's literally nothing, but you have to have some skin in the game or you won't do the work. So, if you do want a better life, then you're going to, I mean, literally what we charge monthly for our Phalanx stuff is less than your cable bill. And I'm not kidding. People pay more for watching I don't know what than they would in making their life better. But if we don't, I mean, we can't give this for nothing because people, they don't value it then. Then they won't do the work if they don't have some kind of investment in themselves. And I'll tell you, if you're not ready to invest in yourself, you ain't ready to lead people and manage people. Because the great ones, and if you think of the awful boss or the awesome boss, if everybody had an awesome boss in their life and an awful boss, the awesome boss didn't just happen. The awful boss just happened. The awesome boss actually did stuff to invest in themselves to become an awesome boss. It's not just natural, it doesn't fall on people.
Well, it's funny because if you're going to become great, and it does include the impact of others or impacting others, you're going to have to invest in others. And it's funny that you would even think about investing in others before you would think about investing in yourself. Now,
right, that is funny.
don't get this twisted either. When you're not that type of person, believe me that the people around you know that you're not an investable commodity as either. They're not trying to invest in you because they notice that you're not investable, like the same way you do. So you have to make yourself, and you have to feel that you're worth investing in, and the others around you will feel the same way about you, and they'll invest in you. They'll invest in you by following you, by supporting you, by doing whatever it takes to make you successful. Because in a warrior culture, contrary to popular belief, all the boats rise with the tide. They're trying to get this project moving up above because they all are going to eat from it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's everybody. We're all in it together. You're in it together. They always say there's, what is it? There's not an I in team, but there is an ME, and every individual has to do their part. They all have to pull together. I like to think of like the Clydesdale Budweiser horses. You know what I'm talking about? The wagon.
Oh yeah.
They do that right there. Yeah. Like, what if one of the horses decided to go left while everybody else was going right? Or one of them just decided to sit down in the yoke, right? So you can't, and this is kind of, if you can't get your head around that, then you're not ready to manage people, and definitely not at the highest levels. Definitely not. And it's a craft. That's always, leadership is craftsmanship. It's a skill. So, you're not going to just jump in at the highest levels. You have to grow into it. Is it that Malcolm Gladwell says you have to have 10,000 hours before you're good at something, right? I say 10,000 rounds on target because it's not just the putting the time in, because lots of people, just because if you sat in a garage for 10,000 hours, that ain't going to make you a car. Like, you're not going to turn into a car because I sit in the garage for 10,000 hours. So you're actually going to have to do something, right, and get the reps in order to be good at something, let alone great at it. So you're going to have to put in the time and the money if you want to get it. Now, hey, Dutch, we're up on another break. When we get back, I have an interesting question about formal education at the graduate level, and I want us to take a swing at it because both you and I have graduate degrees. So you're listening to the Get Warrior Tough Radio Show with Dutch Coleman and Andrew Wittman.